Hi, it's Kevin May in the PhocusWire Studio, one of our partner interviews with Amadeus. Delighted to welcome back, because we've spoken before. Mieke De Schepper, you're the Executive VP for Online Travel at Amadeus. And welcome back again, of course. We've had you on here a couple of times.
Pleasure to be here.
Kei Shibata, co-founder and CEO of Venture Republic, based in Japan. So, it's a couple of days ago. It's flown already, isn't it? You took a group of a dozen online travel leaders from all around the world, like for an off-site, to kind of pick their brains and kind of test some of your theories against theirs, right? So that was on Monday. This is now Wednesday. So you've had a couple of days to digest it. So we thought it would be a good kind of exercise to kind of see what you think, and then one of the people that are there, Kei, to give his kind of perspective. So what do you think? So what do you think are kind of the trends that are driving disruption and transformation at a really kind of broad level in online travel at the moment?
So I spent a lot of time last 10 months going around meeting lots of different customers. So the reason we organized the event was also to validate some of the things I had observed as I went around. But also I think the other thing was I realized a lot of the online players are in their own markets, in their own space, and they don't always connect. So there's a missed opportunity for them sharing their own experiences as well with each other. So, but if you look at the trends, the first one is the most important, is really how the change on how consumers, what channels consumers are using to find travel. So they're using some of the key platforms. It's becoming, there's different players that dominate the top of the funnel. Consumers are using mobile. And so they're using different channels, but while there's actually even more content available, consumers are lost. They're lost. They are in desperate need of a source of curation of content, and it really isn't there that much. So the consumers are lost very much. Then you have competition consolidation. The bigger ones are just getting bigger, and they're absorbing all the other ones. But there's many smaller players out there. So a lot of players have to choose on how they want to play and where they want to play going forward. Make smart choices around how to do customer acquisition, as it keeps going up those costs, and also where to do the tech investments.
Okay, so Kei, a useful time to bring you in. I mean, customer acquisition and costs and things like that. What's your kind of general view on that challenge as part of kind of the 4 C's that Mieke is talking about here?
It's a really good question. I think I was talking about this whole customer acquisition things yesterday on a stage too. And I think it's unaware. It is just becoming even more competitive, right? So look at the TripAdvisor, look at the Expedia, their stock prices actually got hard quite a bit. I think that was actually was showing the sign that it is even more difficult to acquire the new users from the existing ecosystem, which is actually driven by the Google, right? And some people, including us, actually realize that there are alternative channels available. And especially in Asia, APAC, I think it's those are the app space. And then the apps like Line, WeChat, Kakao, or Grab, Paytm, and Meituan. So those channels are actually nothing to do with the Google ecosystem. And then
but they're super apps in their own right, aren't they? Which is it's an interesting way it's developed. And the other content chaos is quite an interesting one.
So that's more on the supply side. So you've got changes on the demand side, and on the supply side, I mean, it's just if you look at air content, there's normal content, there's NDC content, there's increasing local carrier content, and some people have direct connect, other people run through the GDS, and there's other aggregators that are coming in, and it's not only that, so it's like content being in different places. There's also different formats of content. So before you only kind of had what we call retail content or bookable content. These days there's more media-based advertisement because the metas, where airlines and other players can have that more as an advertisement space. And we start seeing just more variation, the same content being offered in kind of different flavors. And that increases the complexity for a travel agency or anybody to bring that to the front and offer that to consumers who are already lost.
Let me add a little bit as a meta search operator. So we feel that the complexities is just actually going up and up and up. I mean, when I actually, personally actually booked the flights in Southeast Asia, lots of low-cost carriers, right? And then the full-cost carriers like Singapore Airlines. And then often the time when I actually go to the low-cost carriers websites, and then it looks cheaper.
Yeah.
But at the checkout, it's pretty much the same price.
Yeah.
As a Singapore Airlines or so. So it is how, as a meta, can actually let the users actually compare the actual prices. It is not easy. And then also, in Japan, what we do is actually to incentivize our users by offering lots of loyalty points. And then this also adds a complexity. And then when you think about this example, like, okay, so I want to actually stay at the Diplomat Hollywood, right? And then I go to the meta searches, including us or maybe a Trivago or somewhere, and you see typically actually same kind of prices these days, right?
Yeah.
But on our platform, we actually offer 10% of a line points, which is essentially the discount because the line points actually is interchangeable with the line pay, right? So it's actual discount. And then if you book from a booking.com on our platform, 10%, but Expedia maybe 15%.
Yeah.
So 5% difference is actually quite a bit.
It makes a lot in the minds of consumers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is another example of the complexity.
So let's move on to, at the retreat you were lots of brainstorming, but there are obviously going to be some kind of recommendations.
Yeah.
You want to come out with outcomes or whatever, right? So split into 5, I understand. This is kind of what you came up with. So what are you thinking? Kick us off, kind of, Mieke.
Yeah. So I mean, pure recommendation. We were looking at opportunities.
By the way,
that was a challenging one. I think we enriched a lot of the trends, and some of them got validated, but some of them there's some new ones. I think we do see more impact on the geopolitical landscape changes, the change between the US and China, but also how some of the governments are going after some of these very dominant players and actually therefore creating room again for other players in there. So we see opportunities as the geopolitical landscape is changing for new players to come in.
Okay.
Yeah, and also for room for other players to try with different business models as some of these very dominant players are being scrutinized. Okay. So it actually provides opportunities for players to provide a different offering or a good alternative. So that's one. Then that continuous focus on the platform business models. I think there's a clear recommendation and a view that as an online travel player, if you're an OTA or Meta, you need to find a way to tap into that demand. Okay. And not all consumers will go there, but people have different preferences. And so playing on those platforms is not a bad thing. It does require a different set of rules, and you need to figure out on how you can still have your brand presence, but it is where consumers are, and you should tap into that. Okay,
just bringing Kei, I'm kind of leads into actually going back to what you were saying about the super apps and the popularity that they have in kind of the Far East and Southeast Asia. Do you sense we're going to get to that level here in kind of Europe and the Western Hemisphere? That's
a great question. So
and
originally we supposed to talk about it yesterday on a stage, but we actually didn't have much time. But anyway, so I think yes, and then it is already slowly happening in a subtle way.
Okay.
For example, I mean, I consider Google Maps is actually pretty much like a semi-super app.
It's getting there, isn't it?
And then I also noticed that a few weeks ago, the Uber actually rolled out the new app, which is actually the single app actually which offers both ride-hailing and the food delivery.
Yep.
So that's a sign too. So it is already creepingly, starting.
Yeah.
And it will get there.
But they've come from existing players rather than someone just kind of coming into the market.
Yeah, but it's also where a lot of players, honestly, in China and in Asia, they've evolved. So, I mean, WeChat started as a messaging platform and those services were added later. Yeah. Same thing, I think, with Line. Those services was a messaging platform, services were added later. Paytm was payments, services were added later. So there's typically a core, sticky engagement element, and then services are built upon that. It's all about creating a platform that is sticky, that has a high level engagement. And people, it's not that people only engage with one. They work on multiple super apps.
That's true.
Yeah?
That's true.
It is not about it's one or zero.
There isn't one app to rule them all.
No, there's not one app to rule the world.
Yeah.
There's a few super apps that kind of provide this ecosystem that it's easy to operate in, convenient. They can bring you better offers because they have the data.
Right.
Of course, there are benefits and rebates and points and things like that.
Any app, which can generate the high frequency.
Right.
That's
with a scale.
Yeah.
That can be a super app.
So consolidation of competition, which is the kind of stuff us journalists like, because it's good and gossipy kind of thing. So where did you kind of come to on your conclusions with that?
I think so. What we said on competition consolidation, you can see that as a threat or an opportunity. We saw it as an opportunity. Again, of course, the glass is always half full. It gives an opportunity as partnering.
Right.
And we see the opportunity for smaller players to partner with each other, to partner with bigger players. Not per se to do an M&A, because there's not always that much, there's value in it, but not always. But to really then to take the best out of each other. For example, when you partner, you can share data. When you partner, you can share some back-end solutions. Yeah. And so also even for the smaller players to really look at the way not to go for partnerships. And with that to build strength and to build scale.
Okay. And lastly, I mean, there's a lot of talk here, and this is a digital online travel economy thing, talk about sustainability, which is great, but one of the things is around content, removal of fares from the GDS, which is presumably something that you're not overly happy with. But it does, as you say, rather than it being a challenge, it's an opportunity.
I see it again as an opportunity, and honestly, for us, it's not a bad thing because that content goes somewhere. Yeah. It's sometimes somebody has to aggregate it, and typically we call that the plumbing. It's not that sexy to do all that plumbing, to put it all together, but it needs to get done.
Someone's got to do it.
Typically, it doesn't help you to differentiate you on the front end. And as you have to optimize your engineering resources, we're more than happy to be the plumber of the online travel world. And that's what we're planning to do. If it's in the GDS, if it's somewhere else, we'll bring it together. Okay, so one of the outcomes of Monday's retreats is that this is all going to be pulled together into something a lot longer and probably more coherent than what we've just done now, because it's going to be sectioned and everything. So there's a white paper that's going to be produced and be available when it's going to be available. I think so. Si-Hoon from Web & Travel, she worked with us on this, and so together we'll pull the white paper together. All the participants will sign off on it, because it was also a closed-door discussion. Okay. But I think it's information, a lot of this information that's worth sharing, and it will be very insightful for a lot of people that work in the online travel space. Great, and I think we're going to be featuring it on PhocusWire as well. So look out, readers, it will be there late in a few weeks or a month or so. So Mieke De Schepper and Kei Shibata, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.